This deck builder generated $400,000 in revenue from a $3,000 ad spend in just 60 days. After struggling for 3 years with failed agencies and dying lead sources, Jason's construction business was barely getting $100,000 in revenue per month. I spent months perfecting a lead generation system specifically for contractors, and what happened next even shocked me. In this raw, unfiltered interview, Jason reveals exactly how he transformed his business from 7 leads per week to over 100 per month. Let's dive in.
I don't know the best way to start except like 3, 2, 1. We're live.
Yeah.
What's going on, Jason?
Hey, what's going on, Spencer?
First and foremost, thanks for taking the time to just hop on this call today, just kind of talk through your experience. First question for you is really just this. Before working with us, where was your business at before we started working together?
We've been at a plateau where we're only doing a couple million plus a year. We've been kind of stuck lately. I mean, once the pandemic hit, it was our best year ever. We had some really good numbers, and after the pandemic, it started to plateau. We were doing other agencies. I wouldn't say agencies, just in the construction business, like an Angie's List, Home Advisor, Trex. We get reviews from Trex.com with us being a deck builder. And we just noticed those leads just started to not be as good quality. So we weren't pulling as many leads, and we were just, our lead flow was just really slow. I don't know if it's just from the pandemic or whatever, but I mean, ever since after the pandemic, we have been really slow, and we were just trying to figure out a solution to pick that lead flow up, because we were struggling. We weren't like gonna go out of business anytime soon, but we were just not used to doing the numbers that we wanted to be. So we were really trying to find a solution so we could scale.
Let's get a little bit more specific, just for the guys that are watching this. Like,
Sure.
Where were your numbers at pre-pandemic, as best as you can kind of remember, and then both from a revenue, like top line revenue, as well as just as like lead flow, like kind of what those actually, like what it actually looked like on a week to week or month to month basis pre-pandemic versus like what it's evolved into more specifically.
Yes, I would say prior to the pandemic, we've been pretty consistent. The area that we're at in the country, we have a lot of competition. So prior to pandemic, we were doing, those lead sources we were doing through, just Home Advisor, Angie's List, stuff like that. We were probably getting in between, I would say we might be running anywhere from 3 on average to about maybe, I would probably say about 3 leads per day. If it was a good week, maybe we're doing 4+ leads. Prior to the pandemic, and then obviously with all our competition in the area and the marketplace where we're located, it started to die down. Once going into the pandemic, we thought, hey, this is it, we're over. And then it got to the point where it was so crazy where we were doing minimum of 5 to potentially sometimes up to 7 leads per day, and this is just with 2 sales guys. So some of these other companies, if you're looking out here, I mean, you might have a huge sales force, but with us, and with prior to the pandemic, we were probably averaging, we're not a huge company, but we were probably averaging about, I would say, in between maybe $100,000 to $150,000 average gross per month.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into the pandemic, we had one of our sales guys had left. It was just me. But during the pandemic, it just went crazy. Myself, I was running anywhere from 5+ leads per day. And that wound up being our biggest year. And we wound up generating about 2.5, in between 2.5 to 3 million. I don't know the exact number.
Mm-hmm.
And then, post-pandemic, after the pandemic, it just really started to tank. It started to die down. Obviously, people getting back out to the workforce and stuff like that. And that's where we really kind of see our revenue starting to drop. When we were averaging anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 per month to now our average was, if we're lucky, $100K per month. And
Mm-hmm.
but it's in the industry. They know that most of our money is made within 3 months during the holiday months, and then going into the winter seasons, it's very slow. So all of our money is made in between, I would say probably starting in February all the way up to October.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we were at, and we were just, the leads just kind of really had slowed down, and it was tough. We were looking for something to help us. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. But like a follow up to that is, pandemic was 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So take me through what you guys have done to try to mitigate and solve that lead problem and that flow rate dropping over the last 5 years before we started working together. Like, what's kind of been that experience more specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could say it still lasted a little bit after the pandemic, but yeah, you're right. It's still been a few years, but I mean, we were trying everything. Angie's List was a huge source of leads for us, and then Angie's List had I don't know who acquired who, but I guess Home Advisor or somebody had bought them out, and
Right.
the lead flow from just, I don't know if this is factual or not, but we just felt as a company that they were just rehashing the same leads through both companies and just sourcing the same leads to all of our competitors. So now we're all fighting for the same leads. So we still kept that going, but we noticed that the quality of leads were not as good anymore. Um, and we still stayed with it. Outside of that, we were sending out, some mailers and stuff like that. We did have we did reach out to other advertisers before, prior to working with you. And to be honest with you, we were burned. A lot of these companies would, promise you the world and say you're gonna get all these great leads, and then I feel like they really weren't in that specialty niche, and we were just burning through money. And then they wanted to sign long contracts, and then of course they would all tell us the same thing. Oh, it takes 3 to 6 months, and then here it is, we're just burning through capital where we could have focused those on maybe local home shows in our area, or sending out more mailers or something like that. But we were trying to just stay afloat to generate more leads, but it really just wasn't panning out. We don't know if it was just because of the way the economy was and people being nervous, but that's really kind of where it took it.
How long? So whenever pandemic kind of like went from like this for y'all's business to like it started doing this, and then it was like, all right, Angie's is starting to do this. How long a stretch are we talking about where it's kind of been like, oh, this is not getting better. Oh, we're trying new things and these things aren't working. Like, how long of a stretch of time was that?
Definitely, I would say probably at least 2 years, if not maybe going on 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course we're trying to figure out what else to do. And again, just for us, it's just trying different ad sources or ad platforms, other agencies that actually said they could get you results, but nothing was really panning out. So for a couple years, we were in trial and error, testing different companies, but and trying to do stuff on our own, but it just wasn't panning out for us. And just in our market, we have a lot of competitors, so that was kind of, it hurts too. And and anybody who's in the industry, they understand a new guy comes in, he's just undercutting everybody in price just to get jobs and to build his brand and awareness, where us as an established company doing good quality work, we can't afford to do that.
No, thanks for sharing that. I guess a follow-up from that would make sense at this point of the conversation. As recap, you guys started to boom into pandemic, and then it was a bust, and your lead sources that you had kind of come to rely on, Angie. I don't know that you said you did. I don't think you ever did Home Advisor, but Angie started to slow down. Your inbound stuff, maybe from your website, started to like go down. Maybe that was because of more competitors coming into the area. Maybe you get like whatever the reason was. It was like you went from boom to bust. Like you guys like haven't busted because like you're like just surviving, but you went from thriving to like a surviving state for the last couple of years. And you've lit money on fire. That was kind of like with Angie, with advertisers, whatever. We're trying to solve this lead problem. We want to grow. That's why we're trying things. Or we want to grow. We want more consistency. Hadn't worked. Then you decided to work with us. Why?
Man, to be honest, Spencer, I'm not gonna lie. Me and my partner were very skeptical. To kind of backtrack a little bit, every year for the past 3 years, I reached out and I would vet at least up to 5 companies, sometimes even more. And out of those companies, every year when I would vet them, I'd get it down to 2 I liked. And for the previous couple years, none of them worked out. And then we do it again every year. So this previously, finding you, I went down to a couple companies again. Got on a phone call with actually 2 guys. I got it down to 2. That's what I always do. And then it was you and one other agency, as you would call it. They both, you guys both sounded good, but at the same time, me and my partner, we were very skeptical because we've been burned so many times. Everybody says the same thing in this industry. I'm pretty sure it's different in construction, right? We're all going to build the best decks. So the reason why we picked you over the other agency is you guys were both very similar. One thing that was different about you, Spencer, is when I talked to you, obviously we just kind of connected. And what really, for me and my partner, why we pulled the trigger with you is because you knew the industry. You were very knowledgeable. It wasn't just like you were just some agency going, hey, we're going to help you get the leads. Obviously, you guys got to know how to go in there and get into the house and close. But you already knew all those answers. And you even when we got on the phone, and I'll tell anybody who's watching this, if you guys got to have a team of people that can close. But Spencer, with you, what really made the difference, number one, I will tell you this, anybody who's watching this, you guys have a CRM and a system that's set up that no company I've ever worked with had. That to me was a big, I guess you could say, shiny object that somebody else didn't have. I didn't, still you don't know if they're going to work.
Yeah.
But having that CRM that you provide for free on top, of your value that you do for the ads, that was huge for us because it makes tracking and the lead flow and follow up, and you can see everything. There's nothing hidden. So for companies who aren't as organized, that's a huge selling point. But besides that, I mean, that's just a plus, guys. But it was your expertise because, like I said, you're already doing it. And for myself and probably a lot of people looking into other companies, every time I talk to a company, I was just talking to the sales guy trying to sell the agency, where you're not just your own agency, right? But you're the person that's actually behind the scenes doing the leads. That for me is huge, right? I mean, too many guys I talk to like, oh yeah, you're going to be working with our team and they're going to go through the process and then we're going to get you onboarded and all this other stuff, but they weren't really the expert. So for me, that was very, very attractive, knowing that I was working directly with you. And that, for me and my partner, if anybody else is looking at this, that was the biggest selling point. I was actually talking to the expert himself. It wasn't just, hey, our company can get you leads and provide you leads and you guys got to go set the appointments and sell them. That was the key factor. So, I mean, you just have provided so much value in that answer right there.
Yeah. So just kind of like what I heard you say is you decided to work with us and really with me and on this because of the emphasis on like the guy you're talking to, me, is actually the one that's going to be working with you to get these results that we're talking about. And on top of that, this is my niche. You know what I mean? Like, this is my niche. This is like where I'm focused, this is my expertise. So those are the points of difference for you. Is there anything else you'd add, or is that kind of it?
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I think that's the main key, is because there's so many ad agencies out there that say they can do it. And when interviewing other companies, I would always say, well, what verticals are you in? What companies are you doing this for? And a lot of companies like, oh, well, we do it for, solar, or we do it for this. But there was nobody who really had any kind of data or case study, should I say, of working with the debt company, because
Yeah.
yes, construction is construction, but the fact that you had the data and the case studies to back it, and that's, that's what made us pick you. But again, I mean, it really came down working with you because, like you said, you were the expert. You're not only the face of the company, but you're behind it, running the ad campaigns, communicating with us. And that's another thing. You're always, anytime I reach out to you, you're always there. And if you're not, you get back to us within a couple of days, which is huge. And we're jumping on calls. And so that's a huge selling point, because all the other companies I've worked before in the past, they none of them ever provided that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing that. Follow-up question that I think would be good is just like, all right, you said yes. I got on my knee, and you said yes, and we moved forward into holy matrimony. What was it like? What's it been like working with us through the process of like actually getting started? Like, kind of when you got on the other side of the curtain, and you're like, okay, now that we're doing this together, like, talk about that, like what the process of working with me has been like.
Pretty easy, man. I mean, one of my biggest questions when we first started is how fast, once you take our money, essentially is what I was asking.
Yeah.
Take our money, how fast are you going to be able to generate leads? And you were very straightforward. You were like, it'll probably take about a week to get set up. And again, here we are taking a risk again, very skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, my partner, he's very afraid to spend money because of what's happened before in the past. But within a week, you got to set up. And I remember just having those notifications. Like, I think it was, you got everything set up, and then it was like 1 week, and it was just like, boom, the notification started going off. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, it's starting to work. And the way you have the system set up, where most companies before in the past, they would get you leads, but it's just funneling through our phones, which if you're a company, do you have the manpower to handle the phone calls? But the fact you had a CRM and they could book and set an appointment right there on the spot. When I started to see those appointments actually being booked on the calendar, it wasn't just like, okay, now we got to pre-qualify your funnel, how you set everything up. It was very fast. So it was exciting. And we were like, okay, this obviously, the leads are coming in now. Let's see if they work. And the leads started to come in, and we were like, holy cow. I mean, and it's been amazing, man, because we're just, and it's consistent. It's like, it's not like, look, not every lead is a perfect lead, but there's enough of the lead flow to come in where if the funnel's not sorting them out, we're sorting them out once we get on the phone call and pre-framing them.
Let's talk more specifics now, like specific results. I think that's going to be the most interesting thing for everybody else now, is like, okay, yeah, 1 week in, it took me about a week to build, like, my team to build out all this stuff as far as the foundation to get started. And then what I always say, for this industry, I expect within the first 24 to 48 hours that you're going to get your first lead and appointments flowing in. And that's what happened for you. But since then, I think we've been going strong together for what, about 2 months, just about.
Mm-hmm.
How many sales opportunities have you guys booked since starting?
So we've had a huge influx of leads. Out of, I would say, okay, I can tell you this: our first month, let's just call it first 30 days, we probably had about, I would say, over 100 opportunities that came in through the lead flow, whether they were booked appointments or maybe just a lead, and we're following up to it. But out of those 100, I would say we probably, what times? And I'm just doing off the top of my head. I don't have the data in front of me, but I can say this: besides them booking the appointments, and obviously us following through some of those leads is not booked directly on the calendar.
Yeah.
I want to say at least 50% of those became booked conversions. So that's huge. So out of 100 opportunities in the first month, we had at least half of them booked. And then out of half of them booked, and anybody who's in the industry knows it, yes, we all want to go for the one call close, but sometimes it doesn't happen like that. Sometimes they need to, whatever, they got to get another quote or two. And then, for us, it's all about follow up. But I will tell you this: out of our first month, by the end, I want to say maybe going into the third week of running ads, we had closed, I want to say close to roughly about $200,000 in gross business.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there was like, all right, this guy Spencer and his team, they know what the heck they're doing, because it's all about, it's a numbers game, right? But you gotta have closers. You gotta have people that know how to close the lead. Just because you get a lead does not make a buyer a buyer. But for that, it was huge, because we've never experienced that before, and especially from a business that has nothing in the pipeline. We're lucky if we're even getting, if we're lucky, 7 leads a week, 10 leads a week, because it's so saturated in our marketplace, to going from that to 50 appointments to $100,000 in business. I'm sorry, $200,000 in business, was amazing. And here we are in the second month, and I've already got another probably $150,000 to $200,000 in the pipeline. It's funny. I could probably show you. I just got an email this morning saying, "Hey, Jason, we like you guys. We're in between you and one other company. Is there any way we can jump on a phone call, or you come back out? We just had a few more questions." And anybody who's in the industry, when you get an email or phone call like that, they're basically telling you, we want to pick you.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's just we're excited, and it's just keep going. And again, it's just, who knows how many more from the previous weeks are going to start coming through that pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about follow up and stuff like that. But it's been amazing, man. I mean, we're from what I from what we have, since we partnered up with you, I can see ourselves getting to the point where we're doing, especially with follow up and stuff like that. I can't see us not doing, at least getting to the point where we're doing at least 300 to 500K per month in gross sales, which is huge, because if we do that, we will surpass, we will break our all-time high, if not double what we've done since we've been in business, and we've been in business for over a decade. So that's huge for us. I mean, we want to scale to where we're getting to 5 to 10 million gross a year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. I think the speed of this is something that feels surreal for most of the guys I get started with, because of the experience of like, yeah, I was told that I needed to wait 3 to 6 months to get results, and then 3 to 6 months came and they had nothing to show for it. To go from that sort of over and over and over again to like, oh no, like actually, like in the first 24 to 48 hours of launching this, I got an appointment with a homeowner. I didn't even have to lift a finger. So like that being consistent outputted, it's always cool to hear that. And then I guess like a follow up on my part that would be fun to hear about is like, I mean, tell the guys that are listening to this how much you actually have had to invest in total for like the lead flow you're talking about, because it could seem like, if you had to put the pieces together, connect the dots, it might be like, how much is this guy spending? It's like,
Yeah.
he's getting 100 opportunities a month. Like to the guys that are doing like 50K a month or 100K a month, or even 300K a month, like all of them are probably wondering the same thing, like how much is like this system this magic system, which it's pretty magic in a lot of ways because it works, but like how much the heck am I gonna have to spend to get this thing pumping like that? Like what have you guys actually invested, like kind of like the ROI numbers right now on top of like gross margins?
Yeah, I mean, that's funny you say that, because that's a very, very valid question, which all of us are thinking when we're actually interviewing any company that can potentially help them grow and scale. And you're right, because I remember our first conversation, you were like, well, what's your annual gross? And I'm like, yeah, we do, average maybe 2 million a year. And you were like, oh, that's pretty good. And I'm thinking to myself, 2 million a year, that doesn't sound like a lot at all. Where you hear a company doing 10, 20, 50 million in gross. But you're right. I mean, there's so many companies, and we started off where we weren't even doing that much. But to go back to answer your question, and you asked a question prior, I'm just going to touch base on this real quick. You asked, how soon was it before we actually had our first lead? Now, leads, as soon as those ads went on, it was almost instantly. Booked appointment, I think it was in 48 hours. We had our first booked appointment on a calendar without us talking to anybody. But what you just asked was a huge question. I was like, well, how much do we have to spend? And you said, well, look, we can scale and you can go from there. And that's what we're looking at right now, is like, okay, maybe we need to start scaling. But you said look, let's spend, you know, you can spend anywhere from $50 to $100 per day on ad spend. And I said, well, what do you recommend? And you said, of course, obviously $100. And that's what we did. So we took your recommendation and we were just doing $100 a day in ad spend. So you figure we're at, you
So
know,
3 grand a month.
a month on
Yeah.
ad spend. And in our first month, we generated 200K. I mean, so you talking about ROI for any of you who are in the business, guys, that's one job. One job is paid for the entire investment. I mean, our average ticket is, you know, 25 to 30K. So one job actually pays for the total investment right there.
Mhm.
We've done that. I mean, it's 10x, you know, the gross, if you think about it, is 10x compared to what we spent in our first month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question because we were like, how much do you got to spend? Because some agencies before in the past, they're like, well, let's just keep it going and you can always keep it down and we can change the flow. And Spencer, you said, no, we'll cap it at $100 a day. And I remember we even had a phone call. My partner's like, we're spending more than $100 a day, but we didn't understand how Meta works and how they charged. No, you were like, no, it stops on whatever that budget is. You know, sometimes they don't charge the card for, you know, they might charge you 1 or 2 days later, but yeah, I mean, $100 a day, guys, and you can generate some serious leads. I mean, but you got to have people in place that can sell and close too. So it's not just all on just the leads coming in magically. They're gonna pick us as a company, but
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if you if you get 100 at bats a month, but you can't hit, like you're gonna strike out. Period. You know, but the big thing, the reason I asked the question about the numbers is because for any legitimate business owner, that's what we're talking about. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what you're thinking about. And if you're not thinking about that, you should be thinking about that as a business owner. It's like, what are the numbers? Like, what are the numbers? Because like, if the numbers make sense, then this is going to work.
yeah,
And that's where I'm very confident and like sure that like if you have the capacity to handle lead flow, this is going to work for you because this is consistent, it's predictable, it's proven. And so whenever I install it into any type of business like yours, that's where I have the conviction to be able to say, if you put $100 into the engine each day, I expect on average, you're going to get 3 to 10 leads a day. And of those, you're going to get about half, if not greater amount of those to book into appointments. And that's been your experience. And
yeah,
if you want to go faster, you can go faster. We want to double the budget, you can just get double the leads because this thing is scalable and it works. And if you're a smaller shop, you can do $50 a day. You can do $30 a day. It's just the speed of which we want to go. If you have the capacity for more, that's where it's like really fun because, you know, big picture, once you're doubling the lead flow, if all numbers stay the exact same and your closing percentage stays the exact same on just double like the investment for ads, you could go from 3 to, like for your example, for 3K a month into ads to 6K. And then if you double the appointments and you keep the exact same conversions, you've more than doubled your profitability and just at a margin of like an additional 3 grand. Like the margins at scale for this just become insane, right? Because like your fixed fee on like advertising doesn't change that big, but the variable in the back end does. So at scale, this is like a really, really powerful play for a lot of guys.
yeah. And I'll say this too. It's like for anybody who's looking at this, I mean, like I said, we're a small company. I mean, that's with us with 2 sales reps, one being a really good closer. He's probably at a 20 to 30% close rate. But that's with, you know, 1 to 2 people. So, I mean, it's like now, even for me, with the vision now is like, okay, I need to start thinking bigger myself. I need to hire more staff because if you're another company and you're bigger, I mean, I mean, I'm a numbers guy. Any of us who are in the business, we're a numbers guy. How can we generate more revenue? But man, if I had a bigger sales team, I would probably be spending $400 a day if I could. But
Mm-hmm.
I can't because I can't even handle the volume, the amount
Yeah.
of things that are coming in, which is a good thing, right? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, now it's time to scale up. So it's, I mean, man, it's been a blessing working with you, Spencer, man. And we're excited to see where it's going. I mean, like I said, 2 months in and we're averaging, like this week, we should probably be closing another $200,000 in sales. Now, obviously, it's the 1st of September, 2025, depending on when you're watching this, guys. But that's another 200K in business from the previous month. So we're right now on this pace, we're already averaging 200K a month on.
That's an addition, like, right? That's completely
Oh yes. Oh yes.
in addition. That's not even referring to, like, yeah, we were getting some stuff already.
Yes. Yeah, great clarification right there. Because yeah, that's absolutely right. That too, guys. I'm a numbers guy. Put everything in spreadsheets. Those gross numbers are based on Spencer's leads. That's not including what we might get on an in-call bound from organic lead or referral, because we do get a lot of referrals. But yeah, I mean, outside of the 200K, obviously we generated another 100K in business. So so last month, 100K in organic business, another 190, almost 200 from your ad spend. So right now we're on pace. I mean, just if we stick with you for a full 12 months, we will have at least grown by a third business in our first year. I mean, because we're already doing that. We're already projecting to do another 200K in business per year, which is, if we keep it at this pace now,
200K per month, not per year.
I said, oh yeah, per month.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sorry.
Yeah.
That is we're already projected to double our numbers within the first couple of months of work. I mean, obviously we know once going into holiday season, it slows down a little bit, but that's in our business.
But also, you've never had this in place in the holiday season, so we'll see what happens.
Yes. I mean, look, that was a discussion we just recently had with our team. Is, all right, do we want to continue to do monthly, or should we do quarterly? Because obviously, there's discounts working with you if you do the quarterly versus the monthly. But we just said, you know what? Why most companies, I can only speak for ourselves. I know most companies probably like ourselves, is once we get closer to holiday times, we go, okay, let's slow down on ad spend, because most people aren't going to be, we tell ourselves that, like, oh, most people aren't thinking about doing a deck at this time of the year because of holidays and da. But you know what? That's the worst thing you can have in business, because you want to build that pipeline to potentially, once those holiday season's out, for those lead flows that come in. Okay, look, this is the time, because homeowners don't know. They just call you and think they can get a deck and, porch, whatever it is, in 3 weeks. No, there's still people in front of them in the queue. So for us, we just said, look, pulled the trigger. We paid for the next quarter going all the way through the holiday season, because I know that, just from experience of what you've already done for us, Spencer, that we'll have that pipeline filled up for people contracting. Because when we meet with a home, it's like, listen, we're already, 12 to 16 weeks out. Get ahead of it. So when winter is almost over or spring's coming in, you can enjoy your outdoor living space for the spring. Because most people, they think they wait till the spring and then they can't have it till the end of summer, because we're flooded. But excited, man. We're excited to see where this thing goes. I mean, really, we know we're going to end strong with those numbers this year, but really excited to see where we're going to be at, end in 2026.
Yeah. Thanks for your time, man. I think last question. To another contractor who's on the fence about working with us, what would you tell them?
Man, just go with your gut, with faith. Just pull the trigger. I can only tell you from experience, because especially if you're a deck company, Spencer's the guy. We've tried other companies, and again, I guess not only just from my own testimony, but really it's working directly with Spencer and having him behind the scenes doing the leads. He already understands it. And listen, we're the proof. If you can always reach out to him, maybe get my number if you want to jump on a phone call. We'd be happy to go over some of the details with you. But you just got to take the leap of faith, because we've done a lot of different agencies before and tested other people, and nobody has ever given us results. And in this business, everything is based upon results, right? We don't want to burn our money and just spend all this money in whatever retainer fees and ad spend with no results. So just, if you're on the fence, pull the trigger. As long as you got the guys in place, it will work, just like it worked for us. And hey, man, we're just starting. We're excited. I'm excited to see this thing get to 500K a month gross. That's where my vision's at. So
yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. And the quick recap of the numbers is literally you guys have put in like 6K into ads at most so far. You've gotten about at least 100 appointments out of that, and a lot of pipelines filling in as far as like closed deals, about a 400K in like gross top line revenue.
Yeah.
I mean, for anyone that needs help with quick math, like that's a good ROI. And we're just getting started. And that's before everything's dialed in on all cylinders. And so, yeah, I mean, from here, it's literally just about optimizing the machine, because that's what it is. It's like predictable, consistent lead flow, consistent appointment flow, and eventually it's consistent conversions on real opportunities. And then it's just about scaling your workforce on the back end. The problem with most people that they have, when I talk to them, the contractors, it's, yeah, that's not my problem. My problem is lighting money on fire by not actually getting any opportunity. But right now, what we're at in the scaling phase with you is it's not so much about lighting money on fire on actually getting opportunity. It's about keeping you from lighting money on fire by spending more than you actually can handle, right? Like your capacity on the back end is not a problem. We work on scaling that up and like working out like what it looks like to actually get the manpower in place to be able to support increasing the spend, because that's the bottleneck now. It's not leads. Yeah. And that's the thing I think that I want to get across for anybody watching this, is that if the bottleneck is lead flow and a point like legitimate opportunities, and to get those coming in consistently, predictably, and on demand, this is how you fix that problem. But the fun part of doing work together for me is helping you fix that problem so that then the next bottleneck is created. And that's the fun part of actually growing a business, because now you have cash to actually like project, because you have the opportunities like rolling in month over month.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say this too, and I know I mentioned it before, but maybe we weren't the most organized construction debt company in our area, but I'm telling you, for anybody else who's a smaller company like us, or maybe even doing smaller numbers, like Spencer, the CRM that you have in place, you guys can always ask them about that. I can't say enough on how it keeps us so organized. And one thing that you do, Spencer, that we've never experienced with any other agency is the way that you built the CRM. And for those of you who don't understand what that is, it's just he has a system in place that where all the leads are coming in from, or even booked calendars, or even conversations through text or chat. He links it to our company, and we have all that stuff accessible, which is huge for us, because all those missed opportunities of people who just became a lead or they didn't book right away. I myself, I'm going back in there and I'm capturing the other 50% who didn't book, that are ready to book at a later time. And it's just that there's so much value in there, because as a business, we all get busy, and sometimes they call and they leave a voicemail or they send an email and it's missed. But that CRM, it keeps everything in one place where we can see it, where we're not missing an opportunity. Or if we do miss it, we can go back and we can recapture that and try to rehash that potential lead. So that to me is another huge selling point. I mean, obviously the leads need to be there, and you've shown and proved that, but Spencer, that CRM that you have in place, for us, because we weren't as organized as we should have been, that's just another benefit of working with you, because that right there alone. And what I love about that little piece is how it's set up for anybody watching is Spencer has actually put together, I don't know what you call that, like a workflow or something, but these leads that are sitting in the system, if they're not responding, you set it up where it'll send out a message to pique their interest, or we're giving you and providing you credibility and authority through our company, that you're dripping that campaign through them, through text, through email, which is just re-engaging them. And that's huge, because I can be honest, we weren't doing that before. If we missed the lead or they didn't book, we weren't, we might follow back up with them. But the fact that you have a system in place that's constantly dripping, hey, we're still here, that's huge for us, because I would say at least a handful of those people will come through every week and just message us, and a notification comes off in the CRM. Hey, yeah, I am still interested. Sorry, I was out of town, whatever. And that's just another opportunity for us to get back in the door. So that's a huge selling point that I really liked about working with you, that you provide for us.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's my perspective is this. My job is not to just get you leads, it's to help you make as much money as possible. Because when you win, I win.
Right.
And so it's about helping you get the most juice for the squeeze. So that's where that CRM and that pipeline and that like workflows and the automations using AI to help kind of like reactivate and nurture those leads is really important, because at the end of the day, like the more people you get, more leads you get into appointments, and more appointments you get into sales, the longer your runway you're going to have to really reinvest in the business. And so a lot of guys are just slinging leads. I'm not interested in that. I want to help you guys grow. That's why the infrastructure is there, to make sure that you can support that flow when it comes.
Absolutely. It's all about retention. Hey man, if you weren't showing us results, we would have already been out. So, I mean, that first month was huge for us. So, man, do you just so excited to work with you, man. Just excited to see what's going to come here too, because it's just we were looking for a solution that was going to keep us alive, because anybody who's watching this in construction, all of our crews we work for us. I mean, everybody says in the business, oh, we don't subcontract, but technically a lot of companies subcontract. They just keep them busy enough where they can't go anywhere. We actually do not subcontract, but it was getting to the point where our crews have been with us for so long that we were worried about if the business slows down. Anybody who's in construction knows that those crews will go to another company that will keep them busy enough. And then after that, it's hard to get them back, especially if you got good crews. So for us, you were the solution, not only to bring us more revenue and growth, but to keep the crews with us. Because if the crews leave, doesn't matter how many jobs we sell, we don't have good crews, solid crews behind it and do good quality work, your reputation can fall apart from there. So we're just, it's just been a blessing in disguise, man. And we're excited to keep this relationship going with you. But, you're right. If you weren't producing leads, we would have been, oh, here's another guy we just got burned by.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I told you that was going to be my last question, but I lied. I have one more. I just thought about it from like a person to person standpoint. Like, growing business is so sexy and like, oh yeah, I want to grow business. But at the end of the day, it's really about being able to support your vision as an entrepreneur, as a man who has a wife and like wants to have kids, like all that's like, there's so much more to just like making money. And so my question would just be like, what has the impact been on your life and business from this new thing with me?
Just a breath, as we can say, a breath of fresh air. But in business and in sales, I mean, obviously, Spencer, you're in sales too, but obviously the rapport that we have actually built between each other just within a couple of months. I mean, I feel so confident in what you can do from us, and we trust you. We trust you now. So it's just been for me and my partner. It's just been like, oh my gosh, now we really have found the engine that can really fuel the machine and keep this thing going, where it's giving us more money and time. Look, money's not everything, but it gives you options. And that's what we want for not only for ourselves, for our business, but for even our employees and our crews. I mean, it's all about, having something that's sustainable, that we can continue to work and grow and scale. And it's a cool thing to see something like this working, because, hey, even though other contractors might not be in my market, we want to see every business thrive. You should. And if you don't have that mindset, then I think, maybe you're in the wrong business. But it's just been extraordinary working with you, man, because you're a very likable person and you're honest. And that's been one of the biggest things for me. It's not just like, okay, how's your numbers? What's your, returns? What's your, like a data guy, which you are a data guy, but you've also made it personable. And it's, for us, especially in this industry, the biggest problem for most of us trying to pick a company is it's that trust factor, So you've definitely built the confidence in us and ourselves to know that, okay, we found the right partner this time, because most guys are just hyped. We're all, don't get me wrong, we're all in sales, right? We're all trying to make some money, but it's just been awesome working with you, man. And again, we feel confident, and you've given the confidence back to us as a company too, going, okay, now we know we can continue this thing and scale and just keep climbing from here. And I'll end on this, is that, you were talking about how much money are we spending. We're spending $100 a day, but for us, this is crazy to say, but even with $100 ad spend, with 2 guys running the leads, I almost need to bring in another guy. That's just off $100 ad spend, you know. Because, and again, we're following up and going through all those missed opportunities, but I mean, we're averaging 5 appointments a day. I mean, that's crazy. I could probably do more, but just with the team I have in place, I can't. So I got to bring more people in. So I mean, that is just, I don't know, man. Kind of got off on a tangent there, but
no, man, you're running like an additional 60 to 100 appointments a month.
oh yeah, yeah. Prior to that, we were lucky if we were doing 20. And I know some other people might be watching going, 20 appointments, like what the heck are you doing? But for where I'm located in the country, we have a lot of competition, So, I mean, that right there is a testimony in itself that what you've done, Spencer. I mean, I haven't seen those kind of leads for probably 6 years where we were doing that many appointments in a day. It's because we're so saturated in our marketplace with so much competition. So
yeah,
it's huge.
Well, I know we've been hitting this one for a long time, so we'll just go ahead and cap it there. I feel like you have surveyed the field of what it's been like working with me, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that, because at the end of the day, it's like we're doing this video for you who are watching because I know, and Jason knows, the most challenging thing to do when it comes to finding the right person is sifting through the trash. And hopefully with a video like this and more videos like this, you get a sense that there's something different, and gives you hope, hopefully, that this could actually be the thing that you've been looking for, and give you the confidence to make that step. And if you do, then I'm gonna take care of you. We're gonna take care of you. That's just how we operate. So anyways, thank you, Jason Flynn, for your time today, my man. And
really, and I'll leave everybody else with this too. The one thing that I was it was a thing for me, and somebody else might be watching, might be thinking, I was just like, Spencer, if we do business with you, I don't want a bunch of my competitors either doing business with you. And one of your guarantees that you told me is like, listen, if I work with your company, I will not be doing ads in your marketplace outside of whatever that territory is for you. And that was huge. That was huge. For anybody else watching, that was a big thing for me, because a lot of other ad agencies, they're doing ads for 10 companies in the same marketplace. That's not cool. So that's huge for us. So like, we're the only one in our marketplace working with you. So that's a huge selling point too. So yeah, man, thank you. No problem. Appreciate what you do for us, and we're excited to see where the future goes.
all right, guys, thanks for watching. Cheers.
Bye.
Now that you've seen Jason's incredible transformation from struggling to get 7 leads per week to getting over 100 per month, you're probably wondering if this same system could work for your construction business. The truth is, Jason's not unique. I've helped dozens of contractors achieve this similar result using this exact same framework. If you're tired of burning money on agencies that don't deliver, fighting for scraps from HomeAdvisor and Angie's List, watching competitors steal your market share, and missing your revenue goals month after month, then click the link below to book a free strategy call with me or someone on my team, and I'll show you exactly how to implement this same lead generation system in your business. But here's the thing, I only work with one contractor per service area, and spots are filling up fast. So I recommend click below, come chat with me or someone on my team, and we'll see whether or not your market's open and if this is something that would make sense for you and your business. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.